record to computer. Cool, so we're recording now. Thanks everyone for coming. Hopefully everyone who wants to be here is here. Cool, let's get going. So I was just saying that, yeah, I'm a video editor on the side of doing this. I did TV production undergrad, and I've done a few little gigs for some clients doing video editing. So hopefully I'll be able to talk about content and how you guys can make your content as engaging, as clear as possible. If you do have any questions, then please just pop your hand up or do a little wave or write a question in the chat. Asha, can I ask you to be on chat duty, just because I can't see the chat very easily? So if anyone's got a chat, then just, yeah, if anyone's got a question, just wave me down. Cool. So the first thing that I think kind of my advice and suggestions to it is picking a theme. So having and sticking to a theme is really important, because you know when you've got an audience and you want to keep engaged and you want to keep on bringing your audience back, it's really important to have set things in place so that an audience member can look at your content and know exactly what they're looking at. So I've used kind of team announcements, events, charity, anything like that is just a great example of where you should have a theme across the whole of your social media, but you should also have themes down to those individual elements. And that might be, I'll talk a bit about color schemes and things later on, but that could be color scheme. It could be a clear title at the top. You know, it can be a different design completely. But I think it's just really important that sports teams, as well as sticking to their own theme and maybe tying in some of the SU colors. I know a lot of you use blue and blue, of course, which is a great thing. So I've used the Highlanders as an example here, some really great social media that I found of them. So obviously this is their team announcement sheet. And I think the first thing that I see is it's so clear. There aren't bits where you're like, oh, I can't read that because it's on a different text. Everything's very blocky. And this is a very blocky example of kind of a theme. Other people might enjoy having more kind of less blocky or more sporadic, or, you know, paint and stuff like that. So it's all about finding your theme and sticking to it. And then not just kind of on that example, you can see, I'm going to load up a little another photo here now, and you can see how the theme works across different posts. So we've got this team announcement, but we've also got kind of a full-time scorecard. And you can see if I go back and forth between the photos, you can see that the theme is instantly, you can recognize it as the same team, the same social. Obviously they are both really, really clear, and they're great examples of great graphic design work there. And I'll come on to things about like layers and layering your text and clear backgrounds and stuff in a second. But you can see that kind of the difference is there. And this is a great example as well, that you can find social media like this. And you can, hang on, I'll just check to make sure we haven't got anyone else joining. No. And you can take examples, you can take inspiration from it, and apply it to your own work. So next thing, color scheme. I spoke a bit about that. Obviously, gloss is blue and blue. I've got the two official SU blue and blue colors in the corner there. But I've pulled the Psychology Society as an example here, because they've got a whole range of different colors that all come together really nicely. And a bit on themes as well. You can see that every time they mention on this day in psychology, it's the same background, it's the same layout. So that is a clear, when the audience, when your viewers are looking at your social media channels and they just have a quick scroll past, they can see, oh, I recognize that from last week, I'm going to read that content. So it's about picking out that individual theme. So for example, the Society Pub Quiz is very different to On That Day in Psychology, but they're both different, but they're both exactly the same when it comes to that theme. So when you can, try and make sure that you are kind of familiarizing yourself with what you've done in the past for that certain area. So for a team announcement, for an event, for a charity, all that stuff, and try and stick to it as much as possible. Of course, using your own color theme as much as you want. But the blue and blue that we've got, obviously they're really popular colors. And I'll talk a bit about at the end, but if you guys find it useful, I'm going to like pull together a little OneDrive folder of quite useful assets that you might find. So your logos, the SU logo, color schemes, like all of that stuff, if you think that that might be useful. So as well as color schemes, obviously as clear as possible. The SU, we use a font called Metropolis, which is a really, really clear font that you can have in a really bold kind of, you know, you can go all the way up to extra bold, all the way down to thin. Cool. Yeah, no worries, Alex. I'll pull that together. So obviously you guys can have your own fonts. You can have whatever you want, but my suggestion would be try and make it as clear a font as possible. If you want it to, I'll speak a bit about, on the previous example of Highlanders, you can see that, you know, their font for their team is very different to the font that they use for the scores. That's because people know their team, people don't know the scores, and the score needs to be really, really clear that you can look at within a second of reading it, kind of thing. Also, I've talked a bit about font on block colors. So when you've got a gradient, or if you've got a really kind of not messy, but a really energetic background, it might be harder to read certain fonts on that background. So try and make sure that if you have got kind of a colorful background that's going between all different colors, and it is harder to read a white or a black font, then think about putting boxes around it, kind of having that layer. And I'll talk a bit about layers in a second. And also caption safe area. I'll just kind of caveat all of this, that I've been seeing a lot of your social media posts, and I think it's really, really great. Honestly, I think the level of marketing this year has really stepped up from last year, which is fantastic. But just these are kind of common mistakes just to look out for. So our caption safe areas as well is basically where, if you've got like a 100 pixel box by 100 pixel box, that little area around the outside, it's really important not to put text there, because it makes it harder to read. And you can see kind of on these examples here that I've got the SU logo in the middle, I've got Welcome 2020, and at the bottom, and you can see that the one on the right is much easier to read because you've got that eye room around it, you've got that caption safe area. So where doing your, this applies to video as well, but where you're doing your graphics and marketing, try and make sure that you do have that gap at the top and at the bottom, so that people can just kind of read it as easy as possible. I think the whole point of marketing is so people enjoy it, but they don't have to work for it. I think that, you know, if someone can look at your posts and know exactly what event it is, what the score was, what you're doing next week, kind of thing, and it's really easy for people to do it, it will be more engaging generally. So talking about layers, I mentioned it earlier. I think the way that I like to think about it, and it might vary from people to people, is like building up your layers. So if you go back to that Highlanders post, you can see that on the very top level, you've got the logo, you've got the score, you've got the text at the top, and then in the background there was a darker blue, and then there was kind of the full-time thing that went across the background, which was, you couldn't read it, but it was there, and it kind of added depth to the photo. So sometimes you can work around it from two ways. I usually start at the bottom and work my way up, but you can also start at the top and work your way down. But yeah, I'll put together a block color at the background, and then I'll add, I think I've done an example here of how I built it together. So I'll show that example. So I'll start with a block color at the back, and then I'll add, so this is, I don't know if you might have seen it, I made the Welcome to UOG SU video, but I started with that SU blue at the background, and then I added the text, which was Welcome to UOG SU, and then I added the shapes for a bit more kind of movement in the background, and then I realized that it was kind of a bit empty in those four corners, so that's when I started to add those spinning crosses, which I'll show you a bit of the video in a second to be able to see it. And then I thought, I was just experimenting with it, to be fair, and I said, what else can I add to it to make it more interesting? So I added that kind of cursive font. But it takes time, and there's plenty of opportunities for you to try something and go, you know what, I don't like that. Or you'll try something and go, yeah, that's really good, and I'm going to apply it to all of my social media posts from there. So it's about building things up. Or if you're the other way, you can think about kind of what you want on the whole level and breaking it down into layers, so you know exactly what you need on the bottom, what you need on the top, etc. So I'll talk quickly about video, because obviously that was an example of a video that I made, and kind of the same rules apply to everything. You need to build the layers, you need to keep the text really clear on top of the block colors, on top of boxes if you want that. I saw Netball did a video, kind of like a little tiny video just with a bit of movement of someone with the ball in the background, and I really liked it because it was really clear. There was that top layer on top where the information was there and people could really read it accessibly. But it just made it more interesting by, you know, having that moving element in the background. So if it's something that is possible to do, those really short kind of 10-second clips of something happening on a loop just are more engaging, because people see it, they see it moving, they want to watch it for longer, they'll then read the content. Not to say that you should do all of your kind of photo elements, because some things do work better as photos, but just an example of kind of taking what could have been a photo and just adding a slight video element to the background. So I'll show you, if you haven't seen the video, I'll show you first kind of second of it. I'll turn the volume down as well. So you can see that the shapes are moving in the background. You can see those little crosses that are spinning in the corner. And these are the things that I built up. With videos as well, it's kind of a preference for personal style, but I like it when things don't fade in and out. I love when things come onto screen, flip around in the screen, move out of the screen, just to keep it really continuous and keep things flowing. And it just kind of brings you in a bit more because there's no staggering, there's no breakup kind of thing. But I will also show you an example of where a theme comes across. You can see that in this video, we've got the different color background. So this is our events for orange, that's our purple representation, that's support, that's Asher's welfare color, that's the sport color. So for an example of where you can take a theme and kind of build on it, is where I've taken all of these different colors and I've turned it into a really quick short video that goes at the end of every single YouTube video that we do. That's a quick run through with the exact same colors, the same wording, but just a kind of a 10-second example of it. And you can see that those exact same layers are there. So if someone watches that longer 2.5-minute video and then they watch that 10-second video at the end, they know what they've seen before, so they can relate to that. And they can kind of build upon that knowledge that they've already had. So that's just an example of how you can kind of take a photo or a video element that's a bit longer and turn it into a marketing campaign as such. Yeah, I mentioned before, it takes time. It takes time. So if you've for marketing, Sex, and everyone who on the committee, plan your work and plan what you want to do, plan what you think you should be doing. They're an example of when Bucks kicks off next semester. There are things like templates that you can make. So back to that Highlanders post, that template, they would have had the Highlanders logo, they would have had the full-time thing, and they just obviously would have updated the score and put it out on social media as soon as possible. Again, with engaging content, people like seeing it as soon as it happens, which obviously makes it a lot harder for you because you're trying to churn out things as soon as they happen. But especially for you sports teams, if there is someone available to do the marketing on pitch side and updating as it goes, you can have that template, you can put in the scores, and you can put it out on social media within a minute. And it just makes really engaging social, because people really like photos, they like looking at interesting things. So it's a good example of where you can use templates and files, so you can edit a similar theme really easily, and so you can keep it very similar. Yeah, I've said use other eyes, get advice and feedback. That's what a committee is there for. If you've got a suggestion, for a lot of things that I do, I come up with maybe 2 or 3 ideas for that theme, and I'll show it to people that I trust, and they come back to me and say, I like that bit of that one, I like that bit of that one, I don't like that one. And that's how you build upon things. And it does take time, but as soon as you've got that kind of locked in theme, then you can apply that to all of your socials. Yeah, I've so Alex has said that it's great to have a folder. I'll pull that together and I'll get that round in the next couple of days. And that will be of all the assets that hopefully will be easy to use, and you can use our SU logo and Team Gloss logo and all of that stuff. On this, I haven't written it on the PowerPoint, but I was just thinking as well, like it's really useful to go around and look at other teams, look at other universities, sports teams. If you know, lacrosse, go look at Birmingham lacrosse or wherever other lacrosse teams might be. Get ideas. You can steal ideas. There's no such thing as an original idea nowadays. Like it's just taking two elements of things you really like and merging them together. So I would suggest, you know, going around and having a look at other people and what they're doing, nicking some ideas here and there and making it your own. I think it is really helpful. It's where I get a lot of my ideas, is from kind of content that I've seen that I'll make a little note of, or I'll save it to my YouTube, or I'll write it in my notes. And then when I come to doing a creative project, and marketing sex and you know, for sports teams and societies this year is going to be a big marketing project. You know, you can come back to those ideas and you can draw upon them, but hopefully you would have already kind of thought and planned your themes ahead, so that you can pull upon them really easily. So yeah, keep it up. I think what I've seen so far, all of you are doing a really, really cracking job of marketing, and really some interesting content there, and things that I scrolling past and then I stop and read it because it is really engaging. If you've got any questions, then please do unmute yourself now and have a little you know, shout, and I'll do my best to answer them, or just put them in the chat. I've put my email at the end here, so I'm available all year round. If you've got any editing, or if you've got any questions about marketing or anything, then please do just give me a shout. I noticed this has been a little bit on the shorter side, but hopefully it's been a little bit helpful to kind of pull together some ideas of what you should do, what you shouldn't be doing for engagement. But, you know, just try and mix up your work as much as possible. Stick to your themes though, so that people can come along and they can really identify with what you're doing in each segment of what you put out. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions now, then please do shout, because it would be really helpful to answer some questions. Hopefully, well, some other people might be thinking it. But yeah, as I said, you know, I'm always available on social media or on email. So all you got to do is drop me a little message. Anyone got any questions? Okay, I'll take that as a good thing then. But yeah, like I said, guys, just sorry it was a bit short. Drop me a message if you have any questions, or if you want any advice. I'm more than happy. I'll actually be really kind of pleased if people come and say, I've got this idea for a theme, what do you think? And I will happily give some advice on that. But yeah, keep up the good work. I can't wait to see what you're all doing this year for socials. Obviously, being online is going to be really important this year. So please do, yeah, get in touch if you've got any questions. And if not, I will see you all very soon. But yeah, drop me a message if you need anything, guys. And I'll stop recording now and stop sharing my screen.
Thanks, Luke. That was actually really helpful. That was really, really good. Nice way for them to kind of make it their own, isn't it? Which is nice.
And it is about making it your own. So, you know, it's about you taking your sports team and your clubs and yeah, really do making it your own. But yeah, cheers everyone. Thanks for joining. Drop me a message if you need anything. And yeah, see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye. Take care, everyone.